basic purpose of this book is to present the true situation inside Tibet as compared to the false narrative which China is creating about Tibet. They are trying to tell the whole world Tibetans are happy under Chinese occupation. They are trying to tell the world that China has been very religiously protecting Tibetan religion, Tibetan language, Tibetan culture, etc. Whereas the reality, we know very well that China has been destroying the national identity of Tibet in every way. So this book is an answer to all the Chinese narratives which it is building, and it tells story of how the Chinese have been uh, using their colonial grip on Tibet and the kind of their colonial acts in Tibet. This book deals with them and tells the real story, whether it is on the history, what is the real history. Tibet was a part of China or not. It tells very clearly it was not. About Dalai Lama's reincarnation, there are many experts who are making it very clear that it is finally not Chinese choice. It is the right and the prerogative of Tibetan people and Dalai Lama himself to decide about the next incarnation. On environment, how China is destroying and exploiting Tibet, in the process destroying Tibet's environment. On education, how China is using education as a colonial tool to wipe out the identity of Tibetan people, and how Tibetan women are facing problems at the hands of their colonial masters. And then it talks even an issue which people normally don't know about it. It is human organ harvesting business which is going on, and the Chinese Communist Party, Chinese military leaders, and Chinese business people, Chinese medical fraternity are hand in glove in exploiting human organs from the captive people like Uyghurs, Falun Gong people, and now they have started a DNA profiling of Tibetan people, which means that they have same designs. So this book deals with, on 12 different dimensions, the reality of what is happening inside Tibet. And we have 39 authors, 60 essays, over 500 pages, which makes this book a unique source for everyone, every researcher, every journalist, Tibet support groups, policymakers, the governments, action groups, to, if they want to know the real situation of Tibet, this book is a very good answer for them.
And sir, as someone who has been closely associated with the Tibetan movement since 1972, what major shifts have you noticed in the ongoing Tibetan freedom struggle movement from a global perspective, especially from the viewpoint of Indian government, which is our host country? I don't see a strong support really expressed by the Indian parliamentarians in the parliament.
You know, one thing, this has two dimensions. Your question has two dimensions. The first is, you were saying, you started with?
Global perspective on the
Yeah, about the situation within Tibetan community, that how the direction is it taking. Yes, Tibetan freedom movement has become weaker over the years, and because the pressure, number one, now it is the third generation of Tibetans who are in exile, and with the passing generation, there is some change going to happen. Some changes are for good, some changes are for bad. Uh, the bad change is that the enthusiasm or energy which the first generation had about seeing Tibet free has become slower. But the good part is that the new generations are well informed, well equipped. They have more resources of reaching out to the world and organizing themselves. So over the years they have done reasonably good, but compared to what is needed to make the Tibetan movement successful, I think there is a huge opportunity to fill that gap. That has to be done. As far as, and one thing more which I find personally, what has weakened the Tibetan movement is the confusion among Tibetan leadership. When His Holiness Dalai Lama spoke about middle path, he had uh, a very clear logic behind it. He had his reasons because Dalai Lama, after all, leader of Tibet, and he has so many options of taking so many stands. So he picked up first to pick up the middle path and hoping that it will work. So now that it has not worked, because China has gained out of it only. Tibetans have been losing because of it. There is nothing wrong if, after trying this strategy, if Dalai Lama now decides to review the strategy and think of other options, there is nothing wrong. It is within his rights, and he will be morally right if he decides to have a second thought over this. And he can tell the Chinese that I gave you all the concessions in spite of making my own children unhappy. And you have, by your acts, you have proven that you don't deserve these concessions. Because you have proven you don't deserve these concessions, so I have every reason to withdraw these concessions. So I will think of some other thing. I will discuss with my own people and we'll have another strategy about Tibet. So there is an open way, very respectable way open for Dalai Lama. As far as the other countries are concerned, the tragedy is with given military power, economic power, business power, narrative power of China, most of the countries are not that organized to challenge it directly. So the job of Tibetans and Tibet supporters have become more difficult compared to 60 years ago, because now they have to deal with a China which is more arrogant, more powerful, and more resourceful. But it doesn't mean you give up. You have to continue fighting, because in every fight, one will be powerful, one will be weaker. But it doesn't mean the weaker should give up. So the Tibetans will have to continue their struggle, and these governments, whether it is Indian government or American government, they will have to one day come and support them. But they are also waiting for an opportunity date.